Hello everyone, great to have your company on 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV. I'm Sage and you're watching the Buzzing Trends. In today's show, we'll be looking at 5 ASX stocks to shield your portfolio against natural disasters. And in our first segment of the show today, we'll be taking a closer look at 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Group and NRW Holdings, whereas in the second segment we'll look at ServiceStream, APA Group and AusNet Services. A rare earthquake hit Australia's Melbourne on Wednesday, sending shockwaves across the region, and the quake shook buildings, knocked down walls and stirred panic on the streets of the country's second largest city. And according to the US Geological Survey, the magnitude of the quake stood at 5.8, which was later revised up to 5.9 on the Richter scale. The quake's impact reflected on the ASX 200 as well, which was weighed down by insurers as they lost value amid earthquake payout concerns. And generally, severe weather events can cause millions of dollars of damages to businesses, including insurers, while some businesses, such as engineering firms, reap benefits. These companies are involved in repair and reconstruction works after the disaster has hit. Given this backdrop, let's look at 5 ASX stocks that can be included in a portfolio to counter the negative impacts of natural disasters. And we will be looking at these companies' latest financial reports. The first company on the radar today is 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Group. An international contractor and contract miner, 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Group is engaged in construction, mining, engineering, mineral processing operations and maintenance services. The global engineering company recently announced that its subsidiary UGL has bagged 2 contract extensions for planning, maintenance and shutdown services in Western Australia. The company reported the statutory net profit after tax of 620 million Australian dollars for the full financial year 2020 compared to a loss of 1.4 billion Australian dollars for the financial year 2019. And meanwhile, the company's underlying net profit after tax came in at 601 million Australian dollars, down from 800 million Australian in the financial year 2019. 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Group reported 372 million Australian dollars in pro forma underlying net profit after tax, a decline from 597 million Australian dollars in the last financial year. Its financial year 2020 revenue stood at 11.4 billion Australian dollars, down from 14.7 billion in 2019. And 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Group has delivered around 11% returns to its shareholders in the last 6 months. The next company on our list today is NRW Holdings, a civil and mining contractor. NRW Holdings provides a range of diversified services to the energy, resources and civil infrastructure sectors throughout Australia. And in financial year 2021, NRW Holdings reported 2.3 billion Australian dollars in revenue, 11.5% more than that in financial year 2020. Its EBITDA stood at 266.7 million Australian dollars, and it was 6.7% higher than the corresponding period of last year. The company announced a 5-cent fully franked final dividend as well. Earlier in September, NRW Holdings subsidiary inked a 5-year contract extension on its Phosphate Hill contract at Mount Isa in Queensland. NRW Holdings has delivered around 16% negative return to its shareholders in the last 6 months. And now, before we take a look at ServiceStream, APA Group and AusNet Services, let's take a small break.
Hi there, James Preston for 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV. Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. 𝐊𝐶𝐞's Tech Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Thursday on the Tech Beat, exclusive to 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV.
Welcome back, Sage here. You're watching 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV, and we've reached the second and final segment of the show. Let's now discuss Service Stream, APA Group and AusNet services that are in action due to the recent turn of events on the buzzing trends. So the next company on our list today is Service Stream, an infrastructure networks provider. Service Stream is involved in the provision of design, construction, installation and maintenance services which are vital to develop and operate Australia's telecommunications, energy and water networks. And Service Stream reported a strong profit and earnings growth in financial year 2021. The company's revenue rose to $804.2 million Australian dollars, a 13% spike compared to the previous corresponding period. Meanwhile, the company's EBITDA grew by 25.9% year on year to reach $80.1 million Australian dollars, while adjusted net profit after tax stood at $38.9 million Australian dollars, a 33.8% growth from a year ago. On the other hand, net cash was reported at a loss of $3.9 million Australian dollars compared to financial year 2020, and Service Stream has delivered around 30% negative return to its shareholders in the last 6 months. And the next company we'll take a look at today is APA Group, an infrastructure company whose principal activities include the ownership and operation of energy infrastructure assets and businesses across Australia. Another indicator of the company's financial health, APA's net profit after tax stood at 3.7 million Australian dollars, down from 311.7 million Australian dollars a year ago. And the company made a final distribution of 27 cents per share, up 2%. It brought the total distributions to 51 cents per share in the financial year 2021. APA Group has delivered around 14% negative return to its shareholders in the last 6 months. And lastly on our list today is AusNet Services, a gas and electricity distribution, transmission and commercial energy services company. AusNet is currently in the middle of a bidding war between APA Group and Brookfield Asset Management. And the company's revenue for financial year 2021 stood at 1.925 billion Australian dollars compared to 1.978 billion Australian dollars in the last fiscal. And other than this, the company's net profit after tax stood at 302.1 million Australian dollars as against 290.1 million Australian dollars in financial year 2020. The earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortisation stood at 1.154 billion Australian dollars as against 1.196 billion Australian dollars in financial year 2020. So AusNet Services has delivered around 41% returns to its shareholders in the last 6 months. And hopefully that's been informative for you, but it's time for a wrap in today's show. I hope that you will also do your own research into the shares and stocks that are interesting to you. And please stay tuned to 𝐊𝐴𝐴 for more updates across the markets, economy and diverse themes and sectors. This is Sage signing off.